Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to Mic episode 3. Today's topic is a really interesting one. It is a topic where many people pledge trust and fidelity to the other person. A topic that is part of the lives of many people. A topic that involves commitment to the other person. And I'm sure you must have got it by now. It is the topic of marriage. I am not going to discuss on marriage because I have no personal experience, but we have with us a wonderful couple. Let me introduce you to Natasha and Sway's Money, who come all the way from Our Lady of Mercy Church, Pokhran. And as you see, they are a wonderful couple, a couple who have been married since the last 26 years, totally in love with each other. And they are a witness of that love to every person that they interact with. Natasha and Sways have been involved in the family ministry. They are the coordinators for the family commission, the family apostolate, which is of the Archdiocese of Bombay. They are also coordinators of the Thane Deanery, which organize the marriage preparation course. Natasha and Sways have also been involved in marriage counseling, and they are blessed with a lovely son, Schneider, who is also involved in ministry, especially youth ministry and the charismatic renewal. Professionally, Natasha and Sways are HR consultants, and they are here with us to share their expertise on the topic of marriage. And today's topic is entitled Kahani Har Ghar Ki, a story that is told in every house, or rather, every house has their own story. So, a warm welcome, Natasha and Sways, and welcome to Mic.
Thank you so much, Father Ashwin, for having inviting us to this session and this program, and we are really delighted to be here.
So Natasha and Sways, let's dive in straight into the topic. When we talk about marriage, the first thing that we have about marriage is a very rosy picture. It's all about the bridal gown, the handsome young man, the flowers, the decoration, the exchange of vows and rings, the honeymoon, and everything is so beautiful because you are committing yourself to the person that you love. Yes, marriage is such a beautiful sacrament, such a beautiful institution. But at the same time, it is a bed of roses, but also it has its thorns. It has its challenges. And this is what really scares people. The challenges vary from marriage to marriage. And one question that people have in mind is, do they really believe that there can be a happy marriage? All couples want to be happily married. What, according to you, Natasha and Sways, would be a definition of a good marriage or a happy marriage?
Well, you know what, Father Ashwin? Everyone knows about the challenges. People are aware of the challenges. And yet it's heartening to know that many young people still enter into this sacrament and they do get married. And they're willing to take up the challenge, which means we have many bold, young people there who want to be a part of this institution. Marriage is challenging. However, marriages can be beautiful. And marriages are beautiful. Sways and I are witness to that. We are witness to the beauty of marriage and what God has ordained for us. In fact, from the day one of our marriage. It has its challenges, no doubt. Our marriage has not been devoid of challenges. However, it really depends on when you are getting married and when you have walked down the aisle and when you've said, I do. The tone you set from day one is what matters. You get married envisioning what is it that I want in my marriage. That is an essential. You must know what you want. Like when you take up a job and you know what exactly you want from that job. So when you get married, you must know yourself. What is it that you are expecting out of this marriage? And what are you giving into the marriage? So you set the tone from day one. I'm going to respect my spouse. I'm going to love my spouse. I'm going to respect his family. We are going to pray together. We will have our morning cup of tea together forever. You set the tone. We are going to do things together. It is from day one, the way you decide you're going to live your marriage, that you set the tone. But of course, work on it needs to begin from the time you have committed to a relationship.
In fact, it starts before you get married. The day you plan, you say that you're wanting to get married, there are so many do's and don'ts and so many baggages which you are already carrying along with you, which needs to be shed, which needs to be tweaked, which needs to be to mold yourself into the new environment that you would be getting into, and to a person whom you love. And that love should take the topmost precedence over everything else, and that becomes secondary, and we need to work towards that.
I think that's really well said, Shwez and Natasha. In fact, taking from the very topic of our chat show, Kahani Har Ghar Ki, it's a story. And when you enter into marriage, it's a new chapter of your life. As youngsters, as bachelors and spinsters, we interact, we relate to different people, to different areas of life. So say, for example, it could be my parents or my friends, which may be a priority, or making a career, building a career, making money, various things, which I would probably devote and dedicate a lot of time to. But now that I've entered a new chapter of my life, and in order to live a happily married life, I have another person who I accompany. Rather, much more than that, I give my entire life to, and it's mutual. This is where probably, there could be a lot of friction or rubbing of shoulders. As a married couple, how do you think, can you make this shift or open this new chapter in your married life?
As Swez just shared, it's you make that shift even before you are married. You're getting into a committed relationship. You are committed to each other, and you've confirmed that you're confirmed now that you're getting married. So that is when you need to already make a shift in your priorities. So if your priorities have been your parents, your siblings, your work, now you need to work on how do I bring in my spouse into this. And your priority has to be your spouse from that day onwards. So marriage is about moving from your family of origin to a new family that you will create together with your spouse. And what is it that you're going to create? How do you create this new family, which you are now moving away from your family of origin? That's an important factor. How do you work on that? So you communicate about it with each other. See, if Swez already is aware of what's going to be happening when we get married and into my marital home, he communicates to me because he's already envisioned. He's aware of what I might face. What can be a challenge to me there? See, when we got married, I didn't know to cook or to keep the house. I didn't know that, and Swez was well aware of that. However, he didn't ask me, when we decided to get married, and he said, we think we will make it very good spending, the rest of our lives together. And I was like looking at him, but he said, I don't know, I said, to cook or to keep the house, and I know how it works with your family. He said, don't worry about it. But he did not ask me to learn cooking or to learn to keep the house. He didn't ask me any of that.
So were you all ordering food every day?
No, the only one thing what I'm saying that he's asked me to before we got, because he knew what challenges I might face there already. And he told me, mom can be quite challenging at times. So you will have to keep your peace with her and don't talk back to her. And you can tell me if you're really hurt about anything that she said. But I must tell you, she can be challenging at times. Mom was challenging all the time. But the fact is that Swayze has been such a loving husband, so committed that he would show me in every way that he loves me. It didn't matter to me. I worked my way around, and what I saw in that, even before we got married, I made a decision. Something told me, Swayze loves his mother very much, and he respects his mother. How do I fit into that love and respect? I also need to do the same. I love this man. I must love and respect his mother because he loves her, he respects her. And whatever I see in the man I'm marrying comes from there. So that is what couples should be very clear about when they are getting married. They communicate that one important thing that needs to be communicated to your spouse, the person you're marrying, and don't leave it to, we'll get there when we get married.
I think what you said makes a lot of sense. So when you say that my spouse becomes the priority and everything else as far as my relationships are concerned are secondary, what you mean is that you don't cut off from them completely. You respect them, you honor them, you work towards it. But at the same time, you know who is the most important relationship in your married life, and that is your spouse.
So what people think is, so we are married now, we are each other's priority, and so we need to abandon every other relationship. Marriage is not about abandoning relationships. It's about working on relationships together. So you work together on relationships. What is important to him should become important to me. What is important to me must become important to him. And that is how we go about our marriage. So if we have these in place, when you know your priority, you're not abandoning your parents, but you make your own decisions. So like if I tell Swayze, I would want to get...
make your own decisions, it's the two of you together.
Yes, so like looking at these flowers, it tells me, now supposing I want to change the arrangement and I say, I want a nice ball of flowers here. So it can't be that, Swayze will say yes to me, and if I kind of, communicated to him what I want, it can't be that he says, let me check with my mom. Does she approve of your desire to have this, at our coffee table? So then that might be a reason or a trigger for conflict. Yeah. So we need to make, this is a small thing. Yeah, I'm sorry.
In fact, the time that, your spouse, like in my case, Natasha was leaving her home and coming to my place. And I need to shadow her, to be with her, to help her in every possible way that would make her feel comfortable at home. And while I'm doing that, I'm also sending messages to my siblings, to my parents, my mom, that here there is somebody whom I'm holding in at a pedestal, for which you need to respect, to give the same respect that I have. And actually, when I told her about mom could be a little strict, and let me tell you, till date, she had never, raise the bar, and the respect that I have for mom and my siblings is the same respect I have seen Natasha, giving to them, and I really respect her for that.
I want to just add here that what to make a marriage less challenging, we need to have our own space. The couple needs to have their own space apart from the parents.
I think that's the biggest challenge because
Yes, that is a challenge.
social media, our serials have so many Saas Bahu stories. Maybe it may be part of the culture or the expectations, or maybe the guy is still a mama's boy. But as Swej said, that he also made it clear to his parents. But sometimes it can be challenging if the parents can get too pushy, and it spoils the marital relationship because the in-laws interfere. Okay? Can you tell me, any one of you can tell me, how do you draw that line when you still respect and you still give the honor to your parents, especially when the girl is living in the same home? How does that adjustment happen? Okay, it's very difficult to run away from such situations. It could be as trivial as decorating the house, and it could be as serious about food and money and various other things, even planning a child. So what is the good way that we can tide over this situation, keep in mind that respect and honor for the parents is still there?
It comes down to that very thing that you need to make each other your priority. You have to communicate about your needs, about your desires to your spouse. You have to do that. And when you do that, see, especially when a woman enters a marital home, she is aware that things are going to be different there. You are preparing, you are anticipating that. I would want the young girl who's kind of getting married to think about, is it really so bad? Whatever is there, one way is that. And if you really need to change things, you need to communicate that to your spouse. You need to communicate about it to the parents, the boys, your husband's parents, and come to an understanding. And let me tell you, when you communicate with people about your wants, and when what is your desire, you communicate that. I've seen that between couples, young couples and the parents. Things work a lot better. Rather than, a young newly married couple enter a home and they simply try to change things and do things. And the mother has been, not to forget that this mother has spent time, the husband's mother, in keeping the house and keeping it the way it is. She has also been appreciated for that effort. And now suddenly you come and you say, I need to change that. Anybody is going to feel maybe offended even. It would make sense to communicate that to her and say, I would like to do this, can I kind of change this a little bit? But getting things done and breaking that, meeting those boundaries between parental consent, or, how you communicate or what you do, the way you blend with the parents is a challenge, no doubt. But when now a woman is, or the wife is entering her marital home, the responsibility is upon the husband. He needs to make her comfortable. It's his home, and he knows, he is well aware, he knows both, he knows both. He knows his family, he knows the person he is married. And the responsibility is his to keep peace, to let both sets know that you mean the world to me, but in a different way. And that needs to be communicated.
Was it did you face something similar where you were caught between the devil and the deep blue sea?
In fact, in my place, it was very clear. Before we got married, I called my siblings, my sisters, my mom, and I spoke to them. I told them, I'm getting married to Natasha. and I give them the background. And there were certain things which they knew that I meant, seriously, that this is how it should be done. And there were no way where, it's not that, Natasha was too dainty, and her respect, the way she would speak to everyone at home, there was no chance as such, for anybody to get offended. And I had made things very clear to begin with. As I told earlier, I was there like a shadow. Wow. With her, every step, wherever Natasha would be there, I would make sure that if she is not in my vision, I will quickly go and say, okay, you need anything, what is it, And for me, here is a person whom I love most. She would need me the most, and how I should take care. And that you don't require words, you don't require, an Einstein. You just need someone who can read.
There have been times when I've not told Swayze what I want, but he's known. She's going through, she's upset about something. And he's spoken to me, communicated, we've had a conversation on it and it's done through. But what we have in our experience, have observed, Father Ashwin, is that when we make a self-discovery of who we are and what we are, that plays also a very crucial role in the way you conduct yourself in a marriage.
I think that is key. What you mentioned, Swayze and Natasha, is the understanding that you have as a couple, being able to listen even to the non-verbal cues that your spouse is giving you, and being able to relate to that, and then also knowing your priority. What do I do in such a situation? Coming to that of understanding the other person, besides the relationships that I have with others. We just spoke about parents, but we also have relationships with friends, or career and various kinds of things, maybe our own talents, etc. What I get into the marriage is also myself. And when I talk about myself, I'm not pretending. I don't come in as an actor and just show my good side, but I can truly be myself in this marriage. And that self are the beautiful things, and that self also has the limitations. Some would say it's the weaknesses. Now that can be challenging, because maybe in courtship these things may have not shown or manifested itself, but suddenly when you start living with this man or this woman, you see a different side and say, my God, now I'm seeing the true colors. What do you have to say about this?
As I said a while back, to make a good marriage and make it less challenging, it is up to every individual to make a self-discovery of who I am. Because when I know who I am, what is it about me, it's only then that I will know what am I taking into the marriage. What am I capable of giving into the relationship? Now, when you just shared a while back, Father, about, marriage is about giving of your total self. Now, that total self, when we say, it's with the positives and the negatives. It comes
Absolutely.
With that.
Absolutely.
When it's the positives, I know I have to, what I'm giving something positive. I'm bringing positivity into our relationship. But when I know there is some negativity in me, I have anger issues, or I'm really tight-fisted, I'm lazy, whatever are the negatives in me, things that I know I need to work on before I enter into this sacrament, then I need to work on those issues. Because if marriage means giving of oneself totally, It's not just about bodies and mind and thoughts. It's about our emotions. It's about the way we live our lives. It's bringing all that together. It's always good for someone who's getting married to know, this is me. I have a copy of me there. Would I date this person? Why would I not date this person? For what reasons? And if I know those reasons, it would be well for me to work on those reasons why I have not found dating myself a very nice thing, you know. So I need
I think
to
many
work
of them
on that.
enter into marriage, they probably know that it is their weakness, and they just say that, okay, fine, now you have to accept me the way I am.
One of the things that people, we hear people talking is, or people saying, you don't change the person. Have you heard that? You don't change the person.
Many of them get into marriage saying that I will change the guy, or
Yes.
probably he will change or she will change after marriage.
Yes, but you know, what I really want to say here is that we've heard this, you don't change the person. But there is a hidden message there. People don't change you, but you change for the good of the other.
Early days of a marriage, for me, I was a workaholic, and I would spend quite some time at the office, from morning 7 to evening, 7 is almost 12 hours. And one day, Natasha told me that, it'd be good that if you have brought a few thousands less, but I want you. And that was something I never realized. I just took it for granted that, okay, this is the time where, you need to work also, and you need to provide. But I failed to see at the larger picture, saying that Natasha needs me too. And this is the time, if I can't give her quality time.
I must add here that not that Swayze's ego has not surfaced sometimes, but that has never been a reason of conflict between us. Because as he said,
Wow.
his love for me has been unconditional.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yes. So when even in the marriage preparation course, or when I see it being read and when I see it being heard, that, you love your wife, husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church. Swayze has been living that. So he has been so giving, and there would be times when I make him walk on eggshells, and there are times when he can hold his own and say, but this is how I want it. But he has very nicely communicated that to me. Not in a way that this is the way you do it or the highway.
One thing that I've been observing throughout this conversation is
I have been
that-
doing the talking.
No. Not only that, but you've always been seeing the good in each other. I think that is the most beautiful thing. You do not kind of magnify the faults or the limitations, but you always try to get out the best of each other. I
You
think
don't
that's
know
so
the
beautiful.
truth. You must come home to see.
I think I
How-
must ask Schneider about that if it
Yes,
really happens.
how I magnify everything. He doesn't. He takes care, but he takes care about stuff. It will hurt me.
26 years,
Empathy.
26
practices.
years, I'm sure you must have learned a lot of cooking by now.
Exotic dishes. She
Yeah.
does things which, out of the blue, and sometimes, we wonder, like what and how she has done it. And she really surprises. She invariably surprises
When I'm
us.
cooking, they ask me, what are you making? I say, I really don't know. Let's see. When I finish, we'll name it.
Even when the salt is less or it's overburnt.
Only salt?
It's
Only
never.
salt?
For Natasha, it's the way she is, every day I feel there's something new to learn. Even now, when we say 26 years of a marriage, every day I find something new in Natasha, and that really intrigues me. And she has been my role model also in lots of things. And many times, you feel, are you the person whom you thought yourself that you knew so many things, and now you see that you are so many areas. And for me, it is, I look at this level, Natasha has got 4 steps ahead of me. And
Wow.
not only me, ourselves, our family, but the people at large.
Wow.
It's not that we don't have our arguments. It's not that we don't have our, fair share of wranglings. But
We have a very good fair share of conflicts. Yes, we do have. However, it has never been, Father Ashwin, that we have had conflicts to have resentment and bitterness towards each other. We've
I think
spoken
that's the
about it,
key.
yes.
That's the key.
And what I have seen in all these years, what we are today, is because of a lot of hard work that Swayze has put in this relationship. The way he steered this relationship for us. And so when we are talking to young couples, I tell the boy, the man, that the way you want your marriage to be is in your control. Children learn from the parents. The wife is going to be learning from you. The way you conduct yourself, the things you do, the way you do it. And believe me, I learned so much from my husband.
It's amazing. As you had mentioned that we can't do this of our own capacity. Yes, effort from each person is important, is essential and is required. But there's something else that keeps you together, that unites you, that strengthens you. Would you like to share the secret of your married life?
Please will share that.
for us, it is basically prayers, our faith in God. And that has been a pillar of strength and the core of our being together. That's the holding point, you know. When I saw Natasha, that was one quality of her which drew me closer to her. And along with that, closeness to God and to love, to respect, and to care was the traits and the quality which drew me closer.
What has been working for us in our marriage is that our surrendering of our marriage each day to God.
Wow.
Without Him, we believe it's nothing. See, we could learn from our parents, we could learn from the priest, and we could learn from various, gurus who talk about, marriage, whether it's, you name it, Gary Chapman or, anybody, Tony Robbins, anybody. They could tell you about so many things, or John Gotten. They could say about so many things that this is what a good relationship is about. And you could try all that. But if you're not receptive, one with the other, one to the other, it won't help. And the only one person who can make that happen is God.
I think that's what also what Archbishop Fulton Sheen said. Said it takes 3 to marry.
Yes, absolutely.
2 spouses and God. I
Absolutely.
think keeping God in the inner circle as the center of your married life works wonders, because it is He who has brought you all together in love.
Yes.
It is He who will strengthen you and
Yes.
nourish you with His love, so that you can love each other and be a witness of His love to the entire world. That's amazing.
Yes, and even when we know it's a conflicting situation, something that I am that works even with Swayze. He does the same thing and I do the same thing. We want to communicate something to each other which can be a little tricky, and that can lead to a conflict or a confrontation of sort. We first take it in prayer individually. So I'm going to confront Swayze about this. I ask God's Holy Spirit to guide me. He does the same thing.
I think that's amazing. I think if couples follow that, it can make a vast difference. We don't have much time. In fact, we are running out of time already, but there are already questions coming in from our audience, and a little practical questions. And probably they want to know what is your stance, your take on it. There's a question that has come in about a person who says that probably this person is contemplating marriage, and she feels that having a live-in relationship, not for the sake of it, but rather to come to know if I am compatible with the other person, and learn more about the other person and see if they can spend life, the rest of their life together.
If you do that, how many people will you live with? How many? And then how long will you live with a person? That. And when we get married, when this person, he or she gets married, what if you do not find yourself compatible then? Because living when you know that there are no strings attached is one thing, and when you are bound in the sacrament which is indissoluble is another. Because then there is no chance of anyone saying, I've tried, but now it's not happening, so I walk out. So marriage is something that's ordained by God.
Absolutely.
It's an exclusive relationship between one man and one woman with God in it. Having a live-in relationship is a way that you've already defiled your marriage bed. And you can never be certain just by living in with a person that this is the right person for me. The sacrament of marriage is a sacrament where graces flow even where you have limitations.
I think living in with the person be more objectifying the person
you're
rather than
objectifying, yeah.
allowing
What
that
are you looking
relationship
for?
to
Yes.
evolve and grow
Yes.
in the sacrament of marriage with
Yes.
God's grace.
Yes.
I think
So
that's
you are giving yourself a certain time.
Mhm.
So, I'm going to be living with this person for a certain period of time. And so, I will watch it. In a marriage, there's no time. It's 365 days a year, forever.
Absolute.
So, then what do you kind of do? There is no, you cannot say, now it's done, I'm done with this. So, certainly, you are objectifying the person, and also you are going against what God has ordained. Marriage is sacred. So the intimacy, what will you do when you live in? You're going to share your meals with each other. You're going to make meals for each other. You're going to share the bed with each other. And a marriage bed is supposed to be sacred. The intimacy that you share in a marriage, the sexual intimacy that you share, spouses share with each other, is sacred in the context of marriage. And it's exclusive.
We got another question. Probably Swej could be the right one to answer this. Another practical question regarding finances. There is this lady who feels that as a working member, she earns enough of money, and her husband feels that she needs to also bear the expenses, especially when it comes to medical bills or certain household running of the family, etc. So what have you got to say regarding finances, especially when we have both the spouses working, earning enough of money, and the husband says, you take care of your own personal expenses and I'll take care of my personal expenses. Does it work?
That's quite a few people I have heard talking down these lines. But for me, it would be something like, before you get married, you discuss your finances, you discuss your responsibilities, you discuss where it needs to be prioritized and how this money can be, apportioned and spent. And that has to be done before. And it is when you get married, money is not mine and yours. It has to be ours. And that comes only through trust. If you don't have trust, the base of a relationship, and that can cause a lot of friction and bitterness in a marriage. But I would say, I wouldn't recommend that, you segregate. Because you're earning, you spend, or because I'm not earning, I'm not able to do, or I'm not able to take care of things like that. It is ours, and you're not two, you're one. And when you say you're one, your spouse's priorities becomes yours.
You don't tell a person what to do. And as Sway said, no, he made a good point that you communicate about if you are going to be falling short of expenses, you communicate that before you get married. I might need your help.
I think that's important.
Yes.
Trust and communication are the key factors, I think, in any marital relationship in order to enrich the marriage. And I think this entire session has been such an enriching session. I have learned so much from you, which I can carry forward in my ministry, especially in my interaction with married couples. And thank you very much, Natasha and Sways, for your presence here, for taking out your time. Our audience who are listening to you are tuned in, a takeaway that they will always remember and apply in their married life.